The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, was on the Impaulsive Podcast with Logan Paul this week. This fresh off of their training session. We should have all seen the photos by now online of Shawn Michaels working in the ring with Logan Paul. Logan Paul down at NXT, brushing up on his skills for his big match with Roman Reigns. And while they were there, they filmed a podcast. This actually took place inside of the NXT ring. And it was a wonderful interview. This was a very, again, like I talked about before with Impaulsive, with the guys over there, that they're very they're like bros, you know what I mean? They're very like hanging out with a room full of dudes, you know, like put a wrestler in with like a bunch of college kids and like have them ask questions, you know what I mean? So they're gonna be like, dude, remember that time where you like, you know, it wasn't quite like that, but it was a lot like that. But it was a fun interview, you know what I mean? Shawn was very open and very willing to just kind of bare his soul on Impaulsive, and he talked about going back to, you know, the frat bros, you know, asking silly questions. You know, they're like, oh, these are drugs, dude. You know, they're kind of asking Michaels about his time as a drug user and that sort of thing. And he was very open to talking about it. And in this particular clip here, Shawn Michaels opens up about what that transition was. You know, we all heard he was the junkied out asshole prick backstage. Went away for a couple years. All of a sudden, he comes back. He's clean. He's sober, and he found Jesus. How did all this happen? Check out this clip.
You know, one of the things, you know, it used to be in this line of work was you're supposed to be able to, you know, one of the badges of sort of honor was, you know, you'd be able to party all night, you know, and then
absolutely
get up the next day and go to the town and, you know, wrestle for an hour and be able to do it again time after time, you know, and then, you know, whatever, you know, drink and take a couple of these and be able to go and to function. That's sort of what, you know, was the cornerstone of a man in our business at one time. And I was young and naive enough to buy into it. You know, and again, then people are, you know, not until you realize that people are starting to, you know, pass away. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Let's go like,
wow, this is serious.
It's kind of stupid.
What was your moment? What was your like?
Honestly,
rock.
I can remember again getting married, and then immediately we're getting, you know, we find out we're having a baby, and all right, 9 months you got to get it together. And he comes, and you know, 9 months later. Still not there. The thing that ended up doing it is one day I'm half out of it, and I think he's just 2, going on 2.5, but he could see that I was sort of out of it, and he said, "Oh, Daddy's getting tired." Oh. And that's the first time I noticed that, like, oh my God, he's beginning to sense it. And again, you know, your podcast probably supposed to be a heck of a lot cooler, but it broke my heart. You know what I mean? It's the first time that I realized this little guy was only going to look to one person to show him how to be a man, and it was going to be me. And I was, in that moment, you know, screwing it up.
Yeah, that's a really good reason to snap out of it, is when you notice that your kids are starting to notice that you're a fuck up. Once that happens, it's like, bro, are you going to just be a fuck up forever? Or is that going to be enough to be like, all right, I got to get my shit together? And Shawn took that, and he said he quit cold turkey. There was no withdrawals, no shakes, no nothing. He didn't have to wean himself off and just, you know, lower it in increments. He just stopped. I'm just done with this shit. Done. He was very open about all this. You know, it was funny. They made a joke about the WWE's PR guy. You know, they have PR guys that AEW does too. I'm sure most people do, in fact. You know what I mean? Like anybody that works for a big company anyway, have PR guys that sit in on the interviews, and they're just there to make sure, you know, the wrong thing doesn't get said, basically. You know, they're there to just kind of monitor it and make sure that it's a good, clean, fun interview without anything too to, something that's going to hurt the company's look a little bit. And, they were delving into that territory a little bit with Shawn Michaels being an executive now. He's like the executive vice president of talent development or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. Just a big fancy title for a dude with a crooked eye and a cowboy hat, basically. But yeah, he was very open about that, talking about his entire the entire run with drugs and how he felt indebted to Triple H because Triple H has saved his life a number of times. Triple H was basically his caregiver in the 90s. Michaels walked around a complete egomaniac, fucked up out of his mind, and he talked about how Triple H stood by him every step of the way. Triple H was right behind him when Michaels was picking fights that he had no business picking, when he was pissing people off and burning bridges and just being the biggest dick face on the planet. Triple H was right there behind him and made everybody else look at Triple H as the second biggest dick face on the planet. And he, Michaels acknowledged, like, he stood by me, even if he didn't agree with me, even if he thought I was being a dumbass and doing something stupid, he was going to go there and be a dumbass and do something stupid with him because he's a ride or die, they talked about, So he said, like, falling into the NXT, being an executive there is like not something he wanted to do necessarily at first. He loves it now, but like just, he felt indebted to Triple H. Like, how do you not do anything that he asks when he did all that for you? He was always there for you. Really good stuff there. He talks about why he doesn't go to church much anymore. He said he doesn't go to church, but he is still religious. He's more spiritual on the inside now because he talks about that he ran into a lot of issues with people at church not being able to separate his character on TV from who he really is as a person. They still dealing with, and this is something that wrestling will probably always have to deal with, right? Is the fact that people don't see wrestlers as actors. People see wrestlers as them. So Shawn Michaels was running into people at his church that were like, why are you here being a Jesus guy? A big Jesus freak, religious fucking churchgoer. And then, you go on TV and you tell people to suck it and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It doesn't jive. And, so he just stopped going to church. He didn't want to deal with that anymore because you can only explain yourself so many times. People don't understand. So is what it is, right? I don't blame him for that. And that's why, a lot of people will say, oh, he's not really religious or, it's just an act or whatever. Well, there's your reasoning. He just doesn't participate in it anymore because church people, they can tend to be pretty judgy. You know what I mean? I don't know that your church community is going to be accepting of you going on TV and telling people to suck it, They should be. Why not? Go up. The pastor should be like, we got Shawn Michaels in the house. Suck it. Everybody suck it. Suck it for Jesus. Okay, that was bad. That was a step too far, and I apologize. Don't send me to hell. I apologize. But suck it for Jesus. But yeah, this was a fantastic interview with Shawn Michaels. Very open. Like the Impulsive guy, to me, those interviews are always, it's like just hanging out with a couple of bros, right? Again, like I said, they're not genius interviewers. It's Logan Paul, and then it's like his two best friends or whatever. I don't even remember their names. One of them looks exactly like X-Pac, though. That had to be tripping Shawn Michaels out a lot. And, he's had to be looking at him with his crooked eye and just kind of, is that Shawn? So they're not going to get it's not going to be like an Ariel Helwani interview. That was a much different interview with Shawn, but still a lot of good shit. And this was particularly interesting, so I wanted to share it with you. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And on to the next clip.
Oh yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Yeah, And you can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on the channel. Ooh yeah. Dig it.